This is 20 years old, and yes, it is brown, it is yellowed, it has stains on it, and I still have it because this is probably one of the most important things that I've ever done in my career. 20 years later, I still hold on to it. You know why? Because I can physically put it in my hand. It's something that I can actually touch, something I can actually feel, something I actually flip open and read. It's only 4 pages. So it's not that big, but it still holds a lot of memories. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Chris 2 Cents podcast, where myself, a writer, Chris Stevens, is going to talk about his 2 cents with common sense on my official YouTube channel. Hopefully you all are doing well out there. Hopefully you had a good Labor Day weekend. It was a good, time to relax, reflect, and get ready for the fall season. Of course, fall is my busy season. There's more on that later on in the episode. I'll talk about that later on. But this episode in particular is something that caught my eye late last week, and I figured it'd be too early to talk about it during a holiday weekend when everybody's in transit or what have you. So I decided to wait until the beginning of a new week, which is Tuesday for most of us because a lot of us had off. I had to work on Monday, but that's okay though, because I enjoy what I do. And it really didn't take that long. But yeah, so in case you guys missed the news, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution announced today that after more than 100 years in print, by the beginning of 2026, they will be a digital-only publication. And the open letter from publisher Andrew Morse, I have that here for you. I'm going to read pieces of it. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you because that's not why you're here. You're not here for me to read stuff to you. If you are, I'll start an ASMR account, but I don't think that's what you're here for. So I'll just give you guys the brass tacks. After 157 years, we did not make this decision lightly for many of us. Reading the paper with our morning coffee as is ingrained in our routine as brushing our teeth or scrambling eggs. Embracing our digital future means we can focus every resource and every ounce of energy on producing world-class journalism and delivering it to each of you in the most impactful way. Relying on printing presses and delivery trucks to distribute the news simply isn't the best way for the AJC, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, to serve you anymore. In addition, this decision has a positive impact on the environment, saving water and trees, eliminating the use of poly bags and CO2, diverting waste from the landfill, which is in line with Cox Communications' commitment to sustainability. One thing that will not change is our unwavering commitment to essential factual reporting. Our mission has never been more important. We will continue to invest in distinctive journalism, well-sourced beat reporting, and surprising and delightful storytelling. We know this will be a change for many of you, and we will be there with you as we make this transition. This fall, we will hit the road to connect with our readers across Metro Atlanta and around the state. We plan to do a lot of listening. We want to be sure our digital products deliver everything you love about the AJC. We will partner with local businesses to bring the substance and soul of the South to life, checking in at community events as we celebrate 157 years of the AJC. I keep saying AGC. I mean AJC, sorry. Atlanta is one of the most dynamic cities in the most consequential states and one of the most unique parts of the country. Our community needs a news outlet willing to adapt to a significant moment in history and write the first draft. If you're a current print subscriber, you'll receive an email from us later today and a letter in the mail in a few days with specific details about the AJC's digital transition, but I wanted to reach out to you all directly with the news today. This came out on August 28th. I look forward to hearing from you and seeing many of you as we spend the next few months, celebrating the storied history of our print edition and preparing together for our digital future. So that was a lot from Andrew Morse, the publisher and president of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Now, I'm a person that's worked in newspapers journalism specifically. We'll just say journalism because my newspaper run came to an end in 2022 when I worked for a local newspaper that didn't pay me, despite the fact that I covered every week of Delaware State football for that particular outlet. Yeah, but it is what it is. No use crying over spilled milk. But newspapers are why I fell in love with reading and writing in the first place. Like my mother will tell you, matter of fact, my mom's birthday is Wednesday, so I have a cake to bake for her. Just reminded myself. But my mom will tell you, I was reading Disney storybooks when I was 3 years old. So I knew how to read, but the sports section of the News Journal, my local paper, every morning was how I kept up with this new thing I was interested in called sports. So I kept up with the Sixers. I kept up with the Phillies, Delaware State basketball and football and local high school athletes who I knew from around my neighborhood in the east side of Wilmington, Delaware. So a newspaper has been a part of my life pretty much all my life. I didn't start in the business until 2002 when I first got a job as a student reporter at Delaware State University, a month shy of my 21st birthday. And I turned 44 this coming September 25th. So I've been in this business more than half of my life. I've seen a lot of come and I've seen a lot of go. To quote Mr. Cheeks on the Lost Boys song, Lex Coops, Beamers, and Benz. I've seen a lot of come. I've seen a lot of go. But yeah, I've seen a lot of things. And I think this digital transition just is another way that a lot of people who are old school, like myself, are just going to kind of sort of have to deal with these changes. And mind you, I have been an outspoken opponent against AI. I hate it. I can't stand it. But I know that certain, you know, things, certain tools are used to sort of, help you out. But I mean, there's just still the impact it has on the environment. The fact that as a creative writer, I can't, trust my creative brain and my heart to a computer. That's something I'm having a difficult time navigating at my day job. But just the fact that I think we rely on technology too much. And this is coming from somebody who works in digital journalism, for lack of a better word, because of course, hello, there's this podcast. There are my podcasts for HBCU Sports. I write for HBCU Sports as an online advocate. I'm on an online outlet. We don't have a print edition because we don't. Why would we need a print edition if we're a national outlet that people are going to click on and read from here in Delaware to out in California somewhere? It would be pointless for us to, be a print outlet. But it's still something it's something that's going to take some getting used to for me. And one of the largest newspapers in the country, a paper that I applied for, shucks, I don't know how many times. I mean, Atlanta was always my end goal. I always wanted to live in Atlanta. I knew that I was going to cover sports for the AJC. I was going to meet my wife down there, raise a family down there. None of that happened. But I still read the AJC faithfully. I respect that newspaper. There are a lot of outlets that I respect, quite honestly. But at the same time, it's something that those of us who remember the old days of picking up a newspaper, paying whatever it was. I used to get a newspaper every morning for 50 cents. And the Sunday edition was $1.50. That's where a lot of my school money went. If I had leftover lunch money, I was buying a newspaper. That's just how that was just how I entertained myself as a teenager. Some people do different things, other kids go out and have fun. I was reading the sports section. So, but it's something that I get why the AJC is doing it, but it's still something that is just going to take some getting used to as we adjust to this new normal, we can't adjust to new normal because what's going on in this country right now cannot be considered normal. It is not. It is not. And the fact that a lot of major outlets have a stake in this thing becoming a bigger problem, this country becoming a bigger problem, it really boggles the mind. It's really frustrating because they're turning their back on the industry and they're turning their back on the people who relied on this industry, the readers, the consumers. And it's tough. It's tough being a journalist in 2025. Never thought I'd say that, but that's where we are right now. And it's just still the fact of having something in your hand. Because do you see this? I'm gonna put this close up to the screen so you guys can see. I don't know if you can see the date or not because the date is really obscured because of the light. But it's March 18th, 2025. What this is I bring it up closer to my face and this is the Hornet newspaper from the year the Delaware State men's basketball team won the MEAC championship and went to the NCAA tournament for the first time. This was something that I created along with the late Mike Feeney, who was a senior at the time. He was we both came in at the same time, but he graduated before I did because I was fooling around or whatever. But when I was in Richmond at the Richmond Coliseum covering the MEAC, I called him first after we won the championship, and he was like, "Hey, Chris, you think you can take care of this for us?" And I said, "Yes, I can." And I was nervous at first, but he was like, this is what you prepare for. And it was a really good test for me because I was going to have an internship at a daily newspaper called the Delaware State News later that summer. So this is 20 years old, and yes, it is brown, it is yellowed, it has stains on it, and I still have it because this is probably one of the most important things that I've ever done in my career. 20 years later, I still hold on to it. You know why? Because I can physically put it in my hand. It's something that I can actually touch, something I can actually feel, something I actually flip open and read. It's only 4 pages. So it's not that big, but it still holds a lot of memories. And I think that's going to be a challenge for a lot of people who cherish memories, who cherish, physical media. Like what the AJC is doing is not unique, but for them to be as big as they are doing it, it's going to take some getting used to for people in that area who've read that paper hand in their hand generation by generation for as long as that paper's been around. They said the paper's been around 157 years. So we are talking about, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, Civil Rights Movement, disco, the 80s recession, 9/11, all this, everything in history. People that have read the Atlanta Journal-Constitution have been able to physically put it in their hand and read it. Not everybody else can say that. I mean, actually, other people can say that about various newspapers across the country. But the fact that I get here I am, bemoaning AI for, what it does to the environment. Here is a newspaper talking about, we're going to take care of the environment. We're going to stop sending out these delivery trucks with all this gas. We're going to stop, burn up all these trees for this paper. And here I am talking about, well, damn, this sucks. But at the same time, it's a catch-22. I mean, because people are still very mistrustful of the internet. And what Donald Trump has done with the fake news campaign, that's his chef's kiss, to be quite honest with you, because he's ruined the rep of the Fourth Estate. The Fourth Estate ain't done itself no favors either. Let's not get it twisted. There are a lot of people who sold out to tech bros and oligarchs who have bought their way into journalism and said, this is what you're going to report. You're not going to report the real stuff. You're going to report what we tell you to report. And it stinks. It absolutely stinks. But hopefully the AJC doing this will inspire other outlets to sort of step their game up. I mean, there are a lot of local outlets that are digital. Like I can think of Chicago's Block Club. I have a friend of mine who writes for them. I want to have her on the show at some point. There's the Baltimore Beat. The Baltimore Beat still has a physical edition. They still have a print edition. There's, I forget the name of the outlet in DC. That's messing with me. The Tribe is another great outlet. There are independent online outlets that are doing better work than some of the mainstream larger Fourth Estate press, and they deserve your support. So while as an old school person, I'm trying to get used to this whole thing about, wow, we're going to start reading stuff online now it's like, okay, I've been doing this online, for the last, I don't know, decade plus, because when I started freelancing for a news journal in 2014, and matter of fact, I've been doing this since 2011, because when I was at the Dover Post, we had an online presence. So 14 years into this ain't nothing new, but it's just a shock that a major outlet is saying, all right, we're going away from print. And then it's like, wow, it just brings back a lot of memories of what print used to mean to me and a lot of other people. The change is going to be tough, but we got to adapt in journalism if we're going to make it, if we're going to survive, and we're going to see whatever this is through. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I just wanted to talk about that, talk about what my feelings were about that, share this lovely memory with you guys, because again, this is 20 years old. This is older than a lot of you people's kids. Okay? Like some of y'all kids wasn't even born when I was, putting this newspaper out ahead. I mean, matter of fact, let me tell you the story. So, as I said, I'm in the Richmond Coliseum. Is it March 12th or March 11th? One day, I know it's somewhere. I know it's one. It was a week before that paper came out, 2005, Saturday morning, Richmond, Virginia, Richmond Coliseum. I drive my 94 Mitsubishi Diamante from the Marriott to the Coliseum. I'm nervous because our game goes on at 11 a.m. And this is when ESPN2 was doing the games at like the 8 crack of dawn. Like Dr. Jerry Punch was on the play-by-play guy. If you know NASCAR from ESPN back in those days. Dr. Jerry Punch was the lead play-by-play guy for them, and he was doing it for the MEAC that year. That game was back and forth, won it on the last second shot, and we went crazy. I was in the bowels of the Richmond Coliseum jumping up and down like crazy person. So I called Mike Feeney on my cell phone and said, Mike, we did it. We going to the dance. We going to the dance. He's like, all right, so we putting out a paper next Friday, right? Are we? I said, I think so. He's like, yeah, we are. You know what you've been, you were there all week. You know what's happening. You can write that stuff up. We can get pictures. It's no problem. And I'm like, damn, we really gonna try to do this on me? Because back in those days, we used to get our paper printed by the Dover Post, and it would take a long time. Matter of fact, it take almost a full week. So I had to drive back because the game was over like 1:00. I mean, I was still doing post-game interviews and stuff, checking in with people, talking about what a great week it was. But I had to get back to Delaware. And I got lost on the mixing bowl. I'll never forget it. I was driving back Richmond. I thought I was going to hit 5301 going into Dover. No, I didn't. Somehow I ended up on 495 or 695, one of them 95s, and ended up right in front of the White House. This is when W was in office. And a black dude in a Mitsubishi Diamante driving in front of the White House in 2005 probably set off a lot of alarm bells, but I was just lost. Matter of fact, a Metro police officer, he was like, all right, here's how you're going to get back to Delaware. And he didn't take me to 301. He just took me straight up 95 North. So I ended up having to stop by my mom's house because my mom taped the game for me. Because this is back when we still had VCRs in those days. There was no DVR in 2005. If so, it was extremely expensive. But my mom had a VHS tape for me. So I went to her house first in Wilmington, then drove back down Route 13. I don't think I got home till about, I want to say 5, 6 o'clock. And the game was over like 1, 2. So it was just like I had wasted a ton of time. Probably I actually closed it at 6 or 7 actually. But got back, started writing stuff up on my computer, and met with Mike that Sunday morning. And Monday we went over all the final stuff. We took it over to the Dover Post. Mike worked his charm, and the people at the Dover Post said, we'll have it for you first thing Friday morning before the bus takes off. Matter of fact, because we were getting on the bus because I didn't get a chance to ride with the team to Charlotte because the game was in Charlotte. We were playing Duke in the first round of the NCAA tournament at the old Charlotte Coliseum. I had to catch the student bus. So I catch the student bus, but before we do that, the paper, I mean, we left like what? 8, 9 o'clock in the morning? I don't know. It was we left early, but that paper was there and people were grabbing it like, it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And everybody's like, Chris, great job, great job. My newspaper coworkers call me by my nickname, Hucklebuck, or Huck for short. Long story. But they're like, yo, Huck, you did it, man. You pulled it off. I'm like, yeah, I did, but this shit was exhausting. It was tiresome. Just it was one of the great moments in my career. I mean, that's why I still have this. That is why I still have this. I mean, it just means so much to me. I mean, I think that's why I'm really just like frustrated with the physical aspect, that physical media is not a thing anymore, because you still have to hold stuff in your hand to understand why it is important. And this is extremely important to me. That's why I still have a copy 20 years later. It doesn't smell nice. It's browned on over. It's yellowed. It's dusty. But this is when Chris Stevens became a grown-up sports writer, basically. And I'm proud of it to this day. So that's the story. I mean, that's pretty much what it boils down to, man. But I'm proud of my career. I'm proud of what I've done. And I want my career to continue. So I guess I'm going to have to get on board with this digital revolution. So I will. That's my 2 cents for this episode. Greatly appreciate y'all before I go, there is a Patreon exclusive about some behind the scenes stuff going on at my current day job, that has me rethinking, my entire approach to work-life balance. And I'll put a link to my Patreon description below. Again, my Patreon has exclusive podcasts, creative writing work. I may even start posting essays and columns there. It's only $1 a month. For $1 a month, you get a lot of reading, you get a lot of listening, and it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be worth your while. I highly recommend you subscribe to it. So And it would help me out a lot if you subscribe to my Patreon. It's only $1 a month. So please, please, please subscribe to my Patreon, please. So that's it for this edition of Chris 2 Cents. Greatly appreciate y'all as always. Until the next time we speak, y'all be good or be good at it.